So I just cut all that with a blade on this machine, which is a China knockoff of an Eastman 8-inch. And there's never been a sharpening belt on it. And I've been using the same blade for about 2 weeks. I don't use it all day long, but it gets a pretty good use. And using sharpening belt, I'd probably already have put a new blade on it. They're just by design wearing out the whole cutting area. So instead of doing that, I don't sharpen it at all. I buy a really good blade. These are Teflon coated. You can guess where I buy them. I'm not promoting anybody. And the first thing I do is put them on a diamond stone 600 at first. Like, doesn't really do them any favors, but it just like knocks the black oxide or whatever Teflon finish off. And then you can take the 1000 stone and literally hone these things down to where I don't know how thin that is, really thin. And I never use a sharpening belt, but every couple of times I use one of these little carbide sharpening, or I don't know what to call them. I've never seen them before. It's like carbide is anything new. It's a little stick like this with a nice piece of carbide on the end of it. And I just go down one side 2 or 3 times on the blade and take off any little burrs or nicks. And the same thing on the other side. And I'm real careful with that blade. And it never needs sharpening. And this is 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of automotive vinyls, which is about like cutting through a rubber eraser. And you could tell that it's not as sharp as one that you just sharpened or like it was brand new. But it stays there. I mean, it's not welding it together at all. And I'm going to run the last bit of it here. I wish I would have started the video before, because I don't usually cut this much strips at one time. And I would basically run maybe 2 lengths of here and then have to sharpen the blade. And even by then, it was starting to weld it together. I'd have to slow down or wait for the blade to get hot so it would actually cut. And it kind of does that anyway, but not like before. I'm not going through blades. I'm not sure how long I can make this blade last, because what I plan to do is when it gets to the point where it's not sharp anymore, I have another one, and I'm just going to swap it out and then sharpen that one again with my stones, instead of, because usually I wear them out so bad with the belt. There's just a big spooned out area at the bottom that's just, plus you've ruined the temper of the blade by heating it up so much that it's just crappy. So you have to change it. You have no choice. It's like planned obsolescence. I've ordered so many sets of belts to sharpen them, and they're all just way too coarse. Even the most fine belt that Eastman sells, genuine Eastman belts, $30 a box, they're still more like a 240 or a 400 grit, which is just way too rough. I mean, sure, it puts a little jagged edge on it, about like a Ginsu or something, but not like a meat cutting blade like it is meant to be. So just check out how fast I'm gonna go. See if I can get the camera just right without it shutting off. Can you see good? I made too many good videos like this, so let's see how it goes. Raise it up, expose the blade. I've got a couple of these now. Here's another one. A little red plastic tool. This one's even got a spot to put some machine oil on the bottom. It says they're made for sharpening lawn shears and whatnot, but it works really good on this blade. But it needs to start sharp first. I don't even feel any imperfections in that blade. You can feel them with the carbide. It's still really sharp. I'm just kind of checking it, and usually there might be a little nick in it from something. I don't know. The vinyl's pretty soft. Here we go. See if I cut the rest of this without. good picture. And maybe spin the camera around. Still recording. So I'm just gonna move the camera phone over here. This angle. There, see what that does. Cut all that so far. Oh, no sharpening. That's already a blade I've been using for a couple weeks. did it. You know how hard it is to cut that last piece? Right, it wiggling. And the reason it wiggles is because the blade's pushing instead of cutting. A little bit at the end where I was getting a little crazy at the edge of the table. It's a stretch for me. I'm 6 feet tall. That blade is still. Okay, got a little bit of roughness to it from all that abuse. Don't feel any mix in it. It didn't seem like it was getting hot, so I wouldn't lost its temper. What kind of tears it? I'm not sure how this stuff cuts normally. But that's it. That's the blade. It's that little bottom edge down there that I really concentrate on because it comes from the factory. This little edge here is, oh, sorry, this little edge here on the bottom, don't touch it with your flesh. I've laid my finger open, is not sharp. I mean, it's sharpened, but not like it is now. And that does a lot of work because I can tell when that spot gets dull. Hope you learned something from this.